Good afternoon. My name is John Teeter. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Malka. We are presenting this webinar in support of your city's opportunity to participate in the California Energy Commission's Small Grant Leadership Challenge. We hope you'll join with our team in preparing your city's strategic energy management plan, benchmarking, and achieving significant energy efficiencies for buildings in your city. I would like to first introduce you to Dixon Wright, whose focus on data interoperability and standards has been critical in providing the opportunity to apply these technologies to the domain of built space sustainability. Dixon?
Yes, thank you, John. First off, welcome everybody to the Local Government Challenge webinar so that we can share with you our strategy for submitting on March 6th a formal submission to the California Energy Commission. Our goal here today is to not only provide some information to the live audience, but also we're recording this because quite a number of people have asked to be able to log in later and look at it at their convenience. So we appreciate the live audience, and we certainly look for your engagement. We particularly appreciate those that are going to be looking at this later on. And we encourage you, as you look at this, to please reach out to us and ask us questions offline. And certainly we would encourage your participation to be part of us on the March 6th submission. As I mentioned, as John mentioned, I've been active as part of my community service, helping to improve access to surety credit for small business. And the way that worked was basically by trying to reduce some of the redundancy in the manual processing through data interoperability. If we can do that, there's a number of benefits that can be resolved. So in working with the Department of Energy on how we could possibly improve solar bankability by having that efficiency, John and I got acquainted through the Green Button, which is a data effort by the DOE to create a data set for energy consumption. That data set produced by the DOE has created over 150 some odd applications now that do data analytics and provide value to that data. That's the exciting part about this webinar. While there may be talk about data and data standards, what we're really talking about is the potential that can be unleashed. So when you look at John's presentation, you'll recognize that the information is going to be far beyond just the energy efficiency, because the energy efficiency is going to create the opportunity for more solar projects to get built. And when more solar projects get built, more solar contractors are hired, more employees are hired. What this really is an employment opportunity and a creating for opportunities in the solar business. So one of the things that we've been very active in is trying to promote open standards so that data can freely be exchanged between stakeholders, but also to promote the innovation. And as part of that innovation, one of the things that we've been supporting is a STEM education program up at the University of California, Chico. And Jerry, I'll turn it over to you to introduce that part.
Sure, thanks, Dixon. Sorry I don't have a video connect for everyone. This data interoperability effort fits hand in glove with our applied experience orientation here at Chico State. So Dixon has provided for 15 years, successive years, has provided the challenge, the framework for student projects, and has helped coalesce the resources so we can put these application challenges on the table for students to attack. The output in terms of career impact has been tremendous. Every single one of the students that's been involved in the projects are on, a career trajectories that are, will quickly go past mine and Dixon's and our own here in short order. So it's been a great affiliation to see the project come this far. This cat herd, as Dixon calls it, keeps getting bigger, and the challenge itself becomes more complex. And in my new role here on campus, this has been an College of Engineering centric project for literally the last 15 years. My role on campus has shifted to much more of a cross-disciplinary focus and more of a town gown kind of collaborative focus. And Chris Constantine is my partner, the assistant manager at the city there. And this presents itself on the face of it to be the kind of opportunity that will provide both student experience that's central to the things that I engage in, but also something that could greatly benefit and make the city much more efficient, and maybe even possibly plant the leadership flag for our city in this space. So that's kind of my interest in this conversation and my participation in this chat today.
Thank you, Jerry. And this is John Teeter. I'm the CIO at Malka. Malka is a startup. We're 2 years old. We've done significant work with both the Department of Energy and also with the Northwest Energy Efficiency Alliance, the City of Chicago, New York City, Washington, D.C. We are in the space of helping people both articulate and then achieve their energy goals with respect to the built space, focused primarily on commercial buildings, but we've worked with benchmarking initiatives pretty much across the land in various different jurisdictional sizes. I have with me today Ken Baker, who's the managing partner of Green Steps. Ken, you want to kind of take over?
Sure. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. And thank you, everyone who is attending today. So I want to talk about an agenda here today so everyone knows what we're going to go through. And it's very short. We're going to talk about opportunities, and we have a few slides here that will tell you about the opportunities in this grant, GFO, from the California Energy Commission. And it's a pretty good opportunity there. And then we're going to talk about an actual proposal, how the team, I'll call it the Community Building Renewal Team, and I'll introduce you a little more to that as we go through. But it's basically Green Steps, Malka, and New Buildings Institute. And the three of us as entities have been working together along with the Northwest Energy Efficiency Alliance under a Department of Energy program, and working to do the types of things that we want to do in California here. So the second part will be a proposal, and then we'll have a discussion. I hope we can have a discussion, not just at the end, but if you have questions as we go through here, let's try to get them answered, if that sounds fair. So the opportunity through this grant, let's start there. The opportunity really is about advancing sustainability within cities themselves, and this is part of the existing Building Energy Efficiency Action Plan, which is all cities in California are required to have an action plan, and this will be a way to actually fund the development of that plan. So this is a good thing. It also aligns with the goals of Senate Bill 350, and you heard Dixon talk a little bit about that, renewable energies. It's also demand reduction through renewable energy. And it aligns with Assembly Bill 802, which is about benchmarking. So there's a lot of requirements for cities in California, but those requirements can also be opportunities when you view it through the standpoint of there's a grant here, there's dollars to help us move through this process. We also have up here, we want to talk about elevating disadvantaged communities. We actually don't want to talk about it too much today. It's just that the grant itself provides incentives for those proposers that are in California designated disadvantaged communities. But there is real opportunity in this, and that there's $3 million set aside for cities 150,000 population and less. This is Recovery Act dollars, so it's going to go away pretty soon. State of California had 10.2 million remaining, and so they're giving it to large cities that already have climate action plans and want to move ahead with innovation, and they're giving a portion of that 10 million to smaller cities. That's the 150,000 or less than 150,000 population in California, to actually build climate change action plans around energy efficiency in their buildings. So this is a really good a good opportunity to get the dollars to kind of move that forward. And as we go through this, we'll give you a little bit more information, I think, about that, about the opportunities. But let's move right now to John talking a little bit about interoperability.
So thanks, Ken. Well, the dollars are there to incentivize the small and medium-sized communities to align with the action plans. The technology is there also to make sure that we can do it in a very efficient manner. As Dixon mentioned, I first met him when we were working at the national level with the Green Button Initiative. And in California in particular, all of the California investor-owned utilities were funded to implement Green Button Connect My Data, and now have Connect My Data available to all of the members of your community, which means that with a single button click, we can turn on the data flows to initiate the process of benchmarking your buildings and setting your goals. In addition to Green Button though, the IEC renewable energy standards are being used with respect to how we reflect the organizations and the facilities that you are deploying when you reach the point in your energy efficiency or your strategic energy plan that you wish to deploy solar, for example, on the rooftops within the city. In addition, the XBRL standard is being used in conjunction with the Green Button standard to make sure that we have a common way to communicate organizational information, addresses, ownership, and things of that ilk through the whole workflow of your sustainability plans. In particular, though, by joining in with this team, with this initiative, you'll really get full support for your benchmarking requirements that are coming at you from AB 802, and we'll make compliance flow with ease. That's really our goal in life. Ken?
Thanks, John. So a little bit more on the benefits and opportunities, and these are really what we see as the outcomes of being involved in this process. Of course, once funded, there are dollars available, and I talked about that already. And we will talk to the city or cities about what that opportunity is as far as the cap on the dollars, but. Just basically, there's a minimum of $250,000 for a project for a city under this grant, and a maximum of $1 million. But recall, there's only $3 million total for the small cities. And so, the way they'll do it is the CEC will look at all the applications they get, and the way I understand it is that if you have a good application, meaning you follow all the guidelines and you show compelling reasons to be funded, that it looks like everybody's going to be funded at some level. So you could put in a proposal for, say, $500,000, and the commission could come back and say, they have the right to say, we can give you $200,000 basically to put your plan together. So one of the benefits is a personalized climate action plan to reduce energy use in buildings, and by personalized, it's based on your buildings specifically and the energy use in that portfolio, and the types of actions you can take in that portfolio to reduce that energy use over time, whether that be renewable energy or actual actions, retrofit or a tenant improvement, or other types of actions just to reduce energy in your buildings. And you'll see as we get into it, not too deep, but the last couple slides will give us an idea of how we can turn how Malka's tool, the database, takes data and turns it into usable information, and that's real critical to this process. So the Climate Action Plan is one deliverable. It is this is all about the development and implementation of strategic energy management. And strategic energy management is really just a set of business practices requiring an organization to set energy performance goals, to allocate resources to meet those goals, to implement energy efficiency or renewables, and then to report on that. And reporting certainly will be part of this, and I'll show you an example of reports here in just a minute. And there's some beautiful reports that can be customized through Malka, and the CEC is going to require monthly reports, and there's no better way to do it than to actually show information and reduction. So setting those goals, showing reduction is going to be a real big part of this grant. We won't leave you. The team wouldn't leave you with nowhere to go. There'll be a true path forward on how to become more efficient as a community. We'll create a framework for citywide benchmarking, and if Chico is not benchmarking now, for example, or other cities are not benchmarking now, they will be. That's part of AB 802, and that would be a requirement under this grant. We have a lot of experience with helping communities reach benchmarking goals and understanding how it is done, and then what the value of that benchmarking. It's about engaging the public, and we think that's really important, that the public is engaged as much as they want to be, but we can facilitate that.
And in larger cities, we found that that's a necessary thing, that a lot of times when you get data, it's not complete data. And so, for example, with Chicago, we went through this whole data validation. They have 3,000 buildings moving up to 10,000 buildings that they were benchmarking at this time. And they'll get data from a building that has 0 square footage in it. So they're using the mechanisms that we're talking about here to reach back out to the building owners to cleanse the data and qualify the data.
And so,
let me ask you, in terms of if we go through this process and there's others that we want to be a part of the data set, do the owners of those properties, have to take positive action to move forward with this, or is that something that we could do through PG&E?
Well, they have to permit us to use the data. So the engagements that we've done through NIA and that's kind of the baby steps we've gotten to this far had to do with municipal buildings primarily, so the city owned the building. But I believe this takes it out to the community itself. And so you do have to have outreach to the building owners and engagement that allows them to say, okay, I want to do this. Now they have to do it under AB 802. PG&E in that area makes it very simple for them to give permission to use the data. That's part of the green button standard. It's a single authorization, and the data starts to flow. But you do have to engage them, inform them. The community outreach is a big part of this.
Okay.
Good questions. Thank you. So this slide really comes out of the last slide, the setting goals as part of strategic energy management. And so this is not specific to any one project, but what we would help you do is establish that baseline, which is what we were talking about with the benchmarking, and then project that out over time for into actual reduction of energy use, meening SB 350 for demand response, for example, and over time be able to, and then we'll set it up so that there's reports so that you can see that you're actually meeting these goals, because you really have to you have to look at what your progress is, and it's both motivation, but it's also it's what you want to, it's where you want to go, it's the path you want to take. Let's reduce over time. I want to introduce the team, the Community Building Renewal team. And Green Steps, Sharon Grant's on, and I'm on from Green Steps. And a lot of what we do is plan development, strategic energy management, and facilitation. And then the Malka team, they are the data folks. They'll really take the data and turn it into usable information. NBI also helps with that usable information piece, and they're a powerful technical resource. We're very happy to have on board with this team. And I won't say any more about us right now. We'll move through because of
I just want to say that, yes, especially in Chico State, I think that another asset that's brought to the table from the community level is all of the resources that are there under Jerry's direction.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit now about what the team offers here, and the proven process for strategic energy management. We've done this planning and implementation, so we know how to move the communities forward. And there's the benchmarking that we've already talked about, but it is automated, and it does line up with what's required in California and with national databases and programs such as Green Button and SEED. And then there's personalized reports that will meet your need, and not the next slide, but the slide after, we'll look at a couple of those reports. First, I want to talk a little bit more about the spiral of success that we came up with through community building renewal. And this is strategic energy management also, but it's a little more in depth. It goes into the process a little bit. There's the engagement piece. As you start with that, go into goal setting and benchmarking. So you got to know where you want to go, benchmark, find out where you're at, do some diagnostics, and that's when you pull the portfolio manager into that data into the Malka tool. The diagnostics just open up. There's just an incredible amount of information there that you can look at, and you can determine how you basically want to visualize that information. We can help you visualize it in multiple ways. And then there's the actual targeted field analysis. And what we want to do is we want to use the diagnostics to understand within our portfolio where it is that we can go to, or where we should be going to create the resources, or to mine the resources, I should say, the actual energy savings in the buildings. And then there's a plan development piece and the implementation and the ongoing monitoring. And did you want to say something about the?
Well, I would just say in this point, once you develop a plan, you've identified the low-hanging fruit. This might be where you say, well, we've got plenty of solar possibilities. Let's deploy solar, develop that plan, implement it, and then monitor the success of that solar against your actual consumption and how you're balancing that. You can do the same thing with an HVAC upgrade, implement, monitor, and any of the mitigation plans. Some of the more interesting ones are, let's be more efficient in the way we use the buildings and get the occupants involved. So there are many opportunities here. I should say that this particular opportunity with CEC is at maximum a 5-year undertaking. So I would suspect that the CBR team would be able to put you on the road to success early in that 5 years, and that we would be available later on as a resource to help you spot fire. But really, you're empowered to do this as a community yourselves in a very short period of time.
And the spiral is also a good image, I think, in that this is a very dynamic process. It's not static, so it continues to move over time. The engagement can begin over and over as you move through. You set a plan, you implement. You're gonna and you monitor. You're gonna look to engage again, perhaps on a different level, or maybe different parts of the portfolio, something like that. But it's meant to be. It shows a spiral for a reason. It's a dynamic process. And then the next slide really shows us some of the outputs that you can get from using the Malka tool. These are some report cards, one for the Better Building Challenge, as you can see there, one for the 2030 district. And these are the types of reports that can be pretty important to understand that you're meeting your goals, but also that it's just you're just doing you're doing the right thing. You're moving in the right direction, and it gives you information on your building. Again, you decide what level of information you want to show on. This is real critical because the part that I want to talk about here is the responsibilities of the city moving forward here. When you look at the process online for this grant funding opportunity, it really is the city who is the lead for that. Our team can help with put together the technical scope and work plan for this. But the actual submittal and the process of submittal needs to be done through the city. So it's going to take resources up front from the city to make this happen, or from the university, however. And that's the area where you're really going to have to understand what your commitment is, and look into that GFO 16-404 and decide that, yes, this is something that we have the time, you have the time to put together. We can, again, help you on the technical side, but there's only till March 6th, so we're not far out from needing to have a proposal in. Last two slides, we just wanted to show you a little bit about the diagnostic diagnostic capability within the online database, and this is clearly different than anything you'll get out of Portfolio Manager. So, John, you want to talk
Sure.
about
This is just an XY graph on the size of the building, up to 300,000 square feet, with the university in there, and the energy usage or intensity. This is the efficiency of the building, with the lower number being more efficient, higher number being less efficient. And then the size of the bubble is the quantity of energy being used. So the bigger the circle, the more energy. Farther right, the bigger the building. Farther up, less efficient. So we can start saying, well, this might be a building that we could optimize. This one, it's a stadium. It uses a lot of energy. It's very big. It's pretty efficient, actually. 100 and below is really where we're targeted. So we look for low-hanging fruit, focus on those buildings. We can also get a detailed representation, weather normalized by end use, so fire stations versus libraries, etc. Weather normalized by total energy use. So I've got a pretty inefficient fire station, but it's not using very much energy. I've got a fairly efficient city hall. It's using a lot of energy. So I might use this to identify which particular buildings, again, to focus in on. So these are just some of the diagnostics, along with the reports that we'd like to present. And that's...
So let me ask,
yeah.
Can I ask a couple more questions before I have to sign off?
Sure.
What's the value proposition to the city going through the PG&E versus this direction? And then where's the value add from your side for your firm in terms of providing a platform for it?
So going through PGE, you're always going to go through PGE because they are the best source for the data itself.
Right.
And you're in a very good position because PGE is fully behind the initiative and is ahead of the game in the initiative to many degrees. So with respect to the initiative and the utility is already bought in. So the value proposition to the city is to make sure that you're aware of the data availability. And to a certain degree, it's like you have a set of experts that know how to do it that can help your team move forward rapidly. The most difficult part of this is inventorying the buildings and outreach to the community. So once you identified it through property records or whatever mechanism you have, who you should contact, you have to inform them and educate them. And that whole process is somewhat accelerated by materials that we've already prepared that would jumpstart you in that arena as well. The value add to us, and I'll say us as Malka, is that we want to prove that this goes to scale. We're very happy to have accommodated 1, 2, 3, year and a half, 6 months, 3 months, but I want to go now 5 cities, 10 cities, 1,000 cities. So our real goal in the Malka team is to show that this scales. And as we mentioned, we've got support from the Department of Energy to try to prove that. California is a great proving ground to do it. So if we can do a best practice.
I just want to jump in real quick there, John. That's where we're interested institutionally. Obviously, we have this great partnership with the city that I'd like to perpetuate. Mm-hmm. But once we prove it effective here, I'd like to be able to trot this out to rural areas that are
Absolutely.
under our service purview.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the whole goal of MACA is to make this accessible and something that can leverage us to really a more sustainable future. So, I mean, we're obviously a for-profit company, and we will, try to encourage you to find value and to compensate us for that value. But our goal in entering this market is not profit-driven; it's scale.
And I think the opportunity in California is just it's just a better opportunity than it is in many other places because of your bills that we've talked about, the utilities being on board and data being available and such. And I think California is a real place to prove this scale.
Yeah, I've been working with the PG&E data team for the past 6 years now, actually. And they have by far the best implementation of Green Button, and I would really like to prove that to the rest of the world, that there is a significant value in being able, in the end, to reduce your energy consumption by 50%, to bring your renewables online in an efficient and effective way, to balance against your local consumption, as well as your ability to resell, but really to balance your local.
Hey, Chris, this is Dixon. I would also close, because I know we're running out of time, that the
Right.
value add to the students is really an incredible educational opportunity. A lot of the students are looking for ways to do big data, data analytics, and predictive analytics. These are real hands-on examples of where it can be applied. And they provide a great resource to the city of Chico and obviously to this collaboration that goes far beyond just this one use case, but actually will apply across the board for a lot of energy products. So it really is a big objective on the side of the STEM program to have something that's credible for students to stick their teeth into. And obviously the relationship between the university and the city is very tight, and I think it'd be a great opportunity to really utilize that university research.
Dixon, thank you for bringing the cat herd together.